Well, hello and welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway channel. This is Scraplift Saturday and I am Julie from Spend Less Craft More. So at the beginning you would have seen this week's inspiration piece, and also there was a shot of the page that I'm scraplifting, which is from the wonderful YouTuber Suze Fish. So if you haven't seen Suze's work before, totally go and check out her channel. I love everything that she does. So I have been inspired. Now actually there's a third, I need to tell you, there's a third inspiration that I have used with this page. So obviously I've got the inspiration piece, I've got Suze Fish, but I've also got my wonderful new birthday present, which was my new cameo. And so you can see this cut file that I have cut with the feather and the birds. I thought that went perfectly with that picture in the inspiration piece. So that's what got me started, and obviously I'm copying Suze's watercolor background idea. I certainly have realized doing this. I'm using my what are those things called, gelatos. I'm using my gelatos to do my background rather than just watercolor paints, and it is a little bit hard to get a good amount of color the way that I'm doing it. Probably I actually need to invest in some better brushes as well, but having said that, I still am very happy with how it turned out. So that's as far as I got yesterday. I put that aside to dry and had to go to work, and so I've got back to it this morning. And what I'm doing now, it's a bit hard to see with the angle of the sewing machine, but I'm making a little sort of shaker piece like Suze has in hers, and right now you can see I've got some little sequins there. So I've basically got a little rectangle of vellum, I've sewn around 3 sides, and then I'm putting some of these little sequins in, and then I will sew up that 4th side. Now Suze Fish, if you don't know her, is I guess a very minimalist scrapbooker. She does absolutely amazing work with a very minimal stash. So with that in mind, I basically decided, often I'll scrap from a kit, a homemade kit, but this time I've decided to limit myself to the box. Oh, actually you can't see the box. There it is. There's my box of, that's my box of just scraps up to the size basically that fit into that box. So I'm just rummaging through there at the minute, choosing a few pieces that I'm going to use. And what Suze tends to do is she has fairly, I guess, tight layers. She might have a lot of layers, but you don't see a lot of each piece. And she'll layer it up quite a bit, and then she'll maybe a bit of tearing like I've just done there, and she'll just basically staple it together, which is just a great fast way of putting all your layers together. So you'll see me do that in just a minute. Okay, so what's happening on my channel over on Spend Less Scrap More at the moment is I've been doing a series called Scrapbook Spending Freeze 101, and one of the things that I've suggested, I think it's in my second video, is that as you're kind of looking through your stash, you come across items, not items that you don't love enough to throw away, but perhaps you haven't used them for a long time and you're not sure whether they're worth keeping or not. I'm calling them your challenge items. So I'm suggesting that you have a few things that you keep out on your desk, not every single challenge item at once, or you might not have a desk anymore, but yeah, that you just try and challenge yourself to use those items. And it's basically a sort of a use it or lose it idea. So my challenge items that I'm using at the moment, that box that you can see in the right hand corner there is a box that's basically got sequins and brads and eyelets in it, and that box is one of my boxes of challenge items. And I've also got much more ribbon than I can use in a lifetime. So those are my challenge items, and I do manage to use both of those on this page. So here I'm just deciding what colour I want to mount that on. In the original inspiration piece, the birds are black, but I kind of thought that was a bit too heavy for this page, so I was choosing. So yeah, there you can see that top row is the eyelets, the middle row is mostly they're those mini brads that I think might have been making memories, and then sequins along the bottom. So I pulled out a few, and there you can see my ribbons, and they're all on those sort of little, I don't even know what you call those little cards, floss cards that you might use for embroidery floss. So I'm picking out a few ribbons. I don't actually use that one or that one, which I originally pull out, but I'm just having a look to see what colours might work. So yeah, so I use those challenge items on this page. I'm about to, I think, probably just glue that down next, I think. Yeah, so I'm trimming that up a little bit so that I'll have a little bit of grey showing around the edges, and I do stuff it up a little bit because the paper's just a little bit warped from the watercolour. It's not very flat, but anyway, I do a fine job, and then I'll glue that just a little bit onto the page before I sew it, which you'll see in a minute. Now I'll just talk ahead a bit, and I might just leave you with some music at the end. So for my title, one of the other girls on my Scrapbook Spending Free's Facebook group, her challenge item was rub-ons, and so for my title, again because Suze is quite a minimalist scrapbooker, it seemed appropriate to use rub-ons, sort of old rub-ons, for my title, and you'll see them in a minute. If you're scrapbooking way back in 2003, I think these were, you'll recognise them. So they're Making Memories 2003, and the font was called Heidi, and they were the thing back then. So I am fortunate, I guess. I don't have a huge amount of rub-ons in my stash, and most of the ones that I have are Making Memories, which have seemed to last, because as we all know, rub-ons don't always last. Sometimes they yeah, you kind of go to rub them and they just haven't sort of lasted the distance. So even though these ones have lasted, it's still no point having them just sitting around in my stash. So I'm glad that they've made it onto another page. They don't show up because they're white. They're not sort of the most visible title in the world, but that's not what it's about. I do like this other look on it for this one. And alright, so here what I'm doing, so because that cut I was using the negative, I decided that I don't want that solid grey feather, so I'm just kind of trying to piece all that back together. Yeah, but the good news is, of course, I've still got that feather and the birds if I want to use them on another layout. So I think that's probably all that I wanted to say to you. So I'll just leave you with the rest of the process and some music, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye.